Do you know that magical feeling that you get when you step out of the movie theater after you've seen just this amazing, awesome action movie and you just can't figure out why did this movie become so great as it was? This is that movie. Let's get to the review. Welcome back, film fans. It is Brad from Let's Be Real Brad, and today on the channel, I want to talk to you guys about one of my most anticipated movies of 2023, and that is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is co-written, produced, and directed by Christopher McQuarrie, as this film stars a massive ensemble cast with the likes of Tom Cruise, Ving, Rhames, Hayley Atwell, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa, Kirby, and Harry Cisner. This film's about Ethan Hunt and his IMF team who must track down a dangerous weapon before it falls into the wrong hands. So if you guys don't know already, I am a massive fan of the Mission Impossible franchise, as I have watched these movies constantly since I become a film critic, film nerd, whatever you want to call it. And I think the reason for it is because, well, that these movies are great, but it's because that these movies feel so real and they're entertaining and they're explosive and they just give you everything that you would want out of an action movie franchise. And so with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning coming out, I was really excited because of it being a part 1, and normally it doesn't always work out this way because so many movies are so focused on the marketing aspect about being a part 1 and then there'll be a part 2. But when you watch this movie, you feel like that this was always a part of the plan, because every single aspect about this movie isn't just trying to set up the next movie. It's all in the moment, like an amazing part 1 movie should be. So let's just dive right into the positives first, and I gotta start with the man himself, Tom Cruise. This man cannot do wrong when it comes to the movies, as he truly cares about the film industry, the cinematic experience, and the audience. Every single film that he makes, he goes in trying to make the best movie possible and puts so much work and effort into these movies. And every single one of these Mission Impossible movies, I always believe that he is Ethan Hunt and not the big name Tom Cruise, because he is so dedicated to playing this character and doing these phenomenal and amazing stunts. But his performance isn't just based on the stunts themselves and all the crazy stuff that he does. He gives an excellent and amazing performance because he truly cares about these movies. I found the rest of the performances were excellent. Hayley Atwell is the newest member to this movie franchise, and she was excellent. If you guys didn't know her already, she starred as Agent Carter or Captain Carter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She was absolutely terrific in this movie and was able to work with Ethan Hunt so well throughout. I love the chemistry that they had with one another, and her character was so interesting and brought so much energy to this film. And these movies are so good at adding a new actor to this series that is a really good actor and feels sort of underrated to the general audience, and they are just amazing, just like they did with Henry Cavill and with Vanessa Kirby in the previous film. One of the best aspects about this film and all of the other films is the visual effects. These movies are so focused on delivering the audience practical effects, and that is true when I've watched the bonus features on Mission Impossible Fallout, and they constantly talk about how this series is all about the practical effects and wanting the audience to believe what they are seeing is real, and they're using the movie magic that I feel like has been desperately lost in the past few years with the rise of CGI and with green screen. And sure, it is great, but it is so amazing to see a film where it uses classic old school filmmaking with new technology and a modern day story and just feels so epic and grand. All the hand-to-hand combat scenes are excellent. They're very well choreographed. They're very well shot, and the editing in all these scenes is just flawless. It is so fluent, and you don't feel like there's ever a moment where it doesn't feel like perfection. All the action sequences in this movie are top tier. They just get better and better as these movies go along, and they are just so epic and grand and exhilarating. But what makes these visuals so great is also the great screenplay. And when you have Christopher McQuarrie, who's also known as a writer mostly, and he has written some terrific screenplays like The Usual Suspects and tons of other great movies, but the writing of this film feels like a classic mystery film that you would see from like the 1950s and the 60s, but it has a contemporary feel to it, dealing with artificial intelligence, and I found it to work extremely well. Like all the other Mission Impossible films, this movie has terrific pacing, and it's definitely one of the best paced of the whole series, as this movie clocks in at 2 hours and 43 minutes, which is easily the longest film in the franchise, with a budget of $290 million, which is the same as Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and it's also the most expensive Mission Impossible film. And all this to say that this movie never was boring. All the money's on the screen. It is so epic. Once this movie starts, it goes, and I thought it was terrific all the way throughout. All the dialogue scenes had so much tension, and you feel like Ethan Hunt is not winning, which is what the best Mission Impossible movies have. And I found this movie to have so many great emotional moments, especially with the score, which is phenomenal. It felt so perfect to these action sequences, and it made them better. It didn't feel like it was trying to manipulate any scene or in a studio product way. This felt like the music was perfectly mixed with the movie in itself, and those are the best movies, especially when it comes to action. The sound mixing, the sound editing is terrific as usual, as my screening was in a IMAX theater, and it has some of the best sound quality, and it shows because all the dialogue scenes and the action scenes felt perfectly mixed. And this movie is also shot completely with IMAX cameras, as the screen was completely filled the entire time, so I'm going to assume that it is the IMAX aspect ratio. So if you're going to see an IMAX, definitely do so, because it was made for that screen. As much as I've been hyping this movie up and talking about all the things that I loved about it, there are a few things that did bother me, and it mostly happens in the first 20 to 30 minutes, where there's a few flashback scenes that happen on repeat that I thought were quite annoying, especially because we get one flashback scene that's supposed to kind of give us some exposition about Ethan Hunt and a little bit of his backstory, but the film decides to show parts of this flashback in different clips throughout like we forgot them, but we literally just saw it, and it just feels so unnecessary. But this also happens with the dialogue early on, where it feels like Paramount stepped in and told the writers to add things for new upcoming audiences that don't know anything about this series or the characters, because they overly explain things about the characters that we already know about. I mean, we're 7 movies in, the internet exists, like we live in a time where you could literally know about everything. And the final negative I have with this film is also with the first 20 to 30 minutes, where it does feel like it takes a little bit to get going. It isn't boring by any means. I was really into it, but when you look at the pace and the story for the rest of the film, it's completely different. And I think a lot of it is due to having so much exposition and setting up everything. Overall, guys, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 is easily one of the best movies of the year, and one of the movies you have to check out this summer on the biggest screen you can, because this movie is absolutely worth it to see it on the big screen. It was so entertaining, it was so well made, and the story's great, performances are awesome, and everything about this movie feels like it was made for the audience, and it respects the audience as well, and it gives us everything that you would want from a big summer blockbuster movie. You guys have to support this film, because these are the type of movies I want to see more of because they are that good. I am giving Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for checking out this review. As I want to know below in the comment section, how excited are you to see this film? And if you've seen it already, where would you rank it in all of the Mission Impossible movies? I can't wait to hear about that. Before you guys check out this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like as you always should, and ring that notification bell so I can see you all in the following video.